the Snow White narrative has finally arrived at. As terrible as the fallout nuclear levels from the failure of this movie is going, just like I had anticipated in my last two videos for this film as well, I stated when the Hollywood would settle that producers as well as the performers who are a segment of this awful film unbiasedly would simply wind up putting together. Like Rachel being taken down by the Avengers, Zegler treats her like their personal Thanos. Transfer the blame for this complete failure just on her little, fragile shoulders. And that's precisely what's taking place right now. I'll tell you something, then let's get to initially from Disney's Variety. Death threats for the Snow White fiasco were bolstered. A social media expert and increases security for. The article begins with Rachel Zegler, describing how August 12, 2024 is approaching. A few days following Disney's D23 event, Rachel Zegler posted on Instagram to demonstrate a video with her millions of fans in which she advocated for Palestine's independence. I'm serious when I say that this article opens, look, guys, it's all there. Yes, this is where it all began. Around 9 o'clock, this post Zegler made a mass. Millions of views in that period in a brief time frame and based on Variety. The Disney producers were appalled and perplexed as to why their film's protagonist, here, an actor, was making political declarations made without their consent. Disney was reportedly appalled by Zegler's remarks regarding liberation. Mark Platt's Palestine is this. Here on the screen, this guy is like a major Hollywood producer for this film and plenty others in the past. However, he personally took a plane to New. Zegler will meet with York City to purportedly tell her why she isn't permitted to make remarks about politics, and then urged her to remove the video and all of these remarks in favor of Palestine from Instagram, reportedly acting on behalf of Disney. Zegler, according on multiple sources, has additionally been a source of annoyance for Hollywood producers, as even West Teo, which was her very first movie, starred in and incidentally received a Golden Globe for it as well, and Arrange stated that Zegler's remarks for Free Palestine resulted in Gal Gadot, who clearly plays a villain, Queen, to experience a sharp increase in mortality. Internet threats that ultimately resulted in Disney claiming that Zegler is the cause of. Now, they had to spend more cash to recruit extra people for Snow White's publicity trip. Security measures to protect Gal Gadot from supporters of Palestine. Thus a little background, in case you are unfamiliar with Gal Gadot, is Israeli, thus I'm definitely exempt. Elucidate how and why this is a good nuclear-making Molotov cocktail for. I believe we can all handle this whole situation. Concur, and we are all aware of that. The entire fight is still going on, and people are, I'm not here to tell you which is dying. Side with whom you are familiar, or something like that, since I'm just an internet-connected brain in a jar. Relationship with chimpanzee trainers. Working continuously to write, and you can edit my videos for me. Think about this topic however you like. I will not tell you how to feel. However, one insider did mention Variety here. She was unaware of the consequences of her behavior and the implications of that for anyone to watch the movie for girls. So, as this varied hit piece could be seen as, many people are calling for its release. Most likely, Disney is blaming the Snow White's failure on Rachel alone. Zegler's political remarks, which, let's face it, to a certain extent indicate that we must acknowledge that this isn't the only remarks that are politically charged that she previously created at this. The entire Snow White stuff, of course. This was also stated by Zegler when Donald Trump. I also won the election on Instagram. Find myself unable to speak while, for more years of enmity, pushing us in the direction of a world I don't want, guiding us toward a world in which to live. Raising my daughter will be challenging. That will guide us to a world that will make her have a child that she doesn't want. Wish to steer us in the direction of a world that is. I'm afraid I shouldn't be this surprised, but I'm devastated for my buddies who I'm here because I woke up in panic this morning, with you to shout, cry, hug, and wax. Poetry about the left's ongoing failure. Us in creating a new course for the future this. Loss wasn't necessary, and it definitely shouldn't have been by that way. Many votes I agree with Ethel Kane's assertion. Above all, May Trump supporters. Because neither Trump supporters nor he himself ever. Peace big OMG as I mentioned. Rachel Zegler is a little irate. Each and every political aisle. Basically, it would be an elite one. What if she had simply mentioned the Trump thing? Which, just infuriated the right-wing individuals. But the truth is that she infuriated the left as well. Remarks from the Free Palestine movement as well. All of this implied that Zegler in one fell swoop was able to remove both of the wings of the entire turkey along with the bird is, let me tell you, cook guys, it's a disgrace. Okay, I don't believe Zegler's. This is solely the fault of comments. The film's failure, in my opinion, is simply awful, and folks are feeling a little ill of these needless remakes being produced. As well, given the current movie, had a score of 1.8 out of 10 on the assert that Snow White has been cooked in spite of the negative reaction that would be in. To put it mildly, it's inferior to Dragon. Guys, Ball Evolution, and this movie has made pitiful sums of money, taking into account the amount spent not simply on the original shot, but the follow-up, everything else needed to make this movie better, based on the Snow White variety. Open to $82 worldwide. Million is a pitiful amount of money for a movie that came out to be around $250, range of $350 million, but they become worse. In fact, the movie earned $34 million less than Joker's second film, which was criticized by both fans and critics, flopped at the box office and by critics last year, but to exacerbate the situation, not. Snow White barely earned less than the Joker. 2. It is also based on the expense of variety, to gross $70 million more than Joker 2. That being said, this was more costly and produced at a lower level than the Joker's holes are resized in the movie. Yes, it's bleak. I know Variety by guards. Then received this statement from a manager at. This was stated about Snow by a competitor studio. White's egregious lack of performance. Unable to claim that a live-action version of the Vault's most famous movie that has been res-hot and cost $270 million, opening to $50 million several times is, all right, that movie's math doesn't work. They're right. It should be a billion-dollar film. In addition, if this film had no disputes in spite of its excellence, Snow White ought to have become a superstar. We're talking about hundreds of blockbuster openings are generating millions of dollars. It's Snow White, for God's sake, just this weekend. Because it's the film that introduced Disney to the map so that this can occur. So heads up, are appropriately going to roll in each single direction after it failed. According to some, the assaults on Zegler's remarks are unfair since Gallo herself has commented on the entire Israel-Palestine issue and Hamas and everything else as well, but the way that Galdo was ruled was different, which social media users were Zegler are referring to ablating the rules for you, but not for me, a man who tends to. I merely have to say to lean more right. It's my first time, but let me explain. Let me share something with you. If you don't guy, it becomes worse because the lore is then dropped by Variet demonstrating that. It was said that Rachel Zegler was troublesome. This is a little lengthy at the beginning, but allow me to read the Disney text to you all. Zegler standoffs highlight the difficulty. The challenge facing Hollywood studios is the attempt to reigning celebrities that seek controversy on Galado's social media presence for her portion. Her geopolitical remarks were restricted to providing assistance to the civilian, capture hostages on October 7th, Hamas assault, and failed to combine that message along with the movie's promotion. Zegler's nerves were already tense at Steven Spielberg's in the studios when she lodged a complaint against Amblin Partners on social media platforms to which she was not invited. The 2022 Academy Award ceremony at the Best Star. The film West Side Story is a nominee for a picture. Disney distributed publications claim that she had recently started working on Snow White. Shah Bailey, the president at the time in London of a Walt Disney Studios film, production refused to release her for the telecast after Zegler's broadcast of her. Complaints in public, the Academy offered. Despite not being there, she was given a ticket, nominated. So this begins to depict a image that doesn't create Zegler either. Look good at all. So allow me to clarify. Produced West Side Story, her debut film, and then did Snow White immediately following this. The beginning of Zegler's rise to. Basically, then she became irate that she was unable to attend the celebration and award ceremony during the time she was shooting another film, and I can see why you would feel let down because you are unable to commemorate your first victory so that you can talk at a significant occasion such as the Oscars, but you were, at the time, working on another film, and I'd bet Disney was giving you money. Already, millions will star in their new, large-scale, no-holds-barred recreation of snow. For heaven's sake, White, so Zegler not only appeared impulsive and greedy, but, yes, this is not a good thing. It's also childish. Look at everything. Thus it appears that in any case that Zegler has a tiny chip on her body, shoulders for an extended period of time and without strong cause. Or keep in mind that Steven Spielberg shaped this young woman into the person she was. Without him, no one would truly understand or care for Rachel in the. She was accorded the literal first position, the movie's golden ticket by the billionaire, who has produced numerous blockbusters in the past, and anyone would get killed for Rachel's opportunity at such a time, being handed the actual keys at such an early age. This is how it would seem in the Hollywood kingdom, would be regarded as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, chance for you and the majority of people. Should try your hardest to avoid. Ruin everything for yourself. If I were Rachel Zegler, I would remain modest and simply acknowledge that this entire wonderful, her trip could terminate at any time. It's definitely similar to YouTube. Your ability is what determines your success, inventiveness, and so forth. But there's no reason to dispute that luck does have a major contributor to your success on YouTube. Why would you spin the mouth? The expressions of those who observe you because you feel as though you're superior to. I would never do that to them. I'm glad to be here, but you should never allow, when your success overwhelms you, you believe that you've improved in some way compared to those around you. Success is like a fart. It's noisy and possibly odorous. However, it can also end so swiftly that was a horrible example that I totally fumbled at. But let me tell you something that doesn't assist Zegler in the smallest in spite of the alleged assistance from online users, since in the end, whether or not people back the internet. In actuality, these films are produced not by the fans, but by these producers, and sadly, they have the final word on. If these individuals continue to find employment, Zegler may therefore be pleased that some people are complimenting her on Twitter. The truth now is that she will be finally placed on Hollywood's blacklist without whatever occurs here, since, sadly, there is nothing for her that either she or Disney did that Zegler may indeed sue them for. They're not taking her out of she's still in Snow, whether it's a series or a film. Canon is there at the front. White. This isn't like Gina Carano for the center.